Okay, good evening. So here we are back again. We're at in Proverbs as we have been, and we are picking up where we left off last week, which is with Proverbs 24. And I think we're gonna definitely get rocketing through that. It's a wonderful chapter, as I guess they all are. Who would like to start us off? I think we read 24:1 through. Let me see, get my page stuck together here. Hmm. We can go 1 through.
10.
Yeah, 10 to be fine. 1
I'll
through
do
10.
that.
Okay.
Do not be envious of wicked men or wish for their company, for their hearts are scheming violence, their lips talking of mischief. By wisdom, a house is built. By discernment, the foundation is laid. By knowledge, its storerooms filled with riches of every kind, rare and desirable. Better the wise man than the strong, the man with knowledge than the brawny fellow, for war is won by sound thinking, and victory rests in having many counselors. Wisdom is coral to the fool. At the city gate, he does not open his mouth. The man intent on evil doing is called a rank intriguer. The foolish scheme nothing but sin. The mocker is abhorrent to men. If you lose heart when adversity comes, your strength will only be weakness.
Okay. Who wants to start us off? Anything ring a bell for you?
The thing that struck me about that was where it says, by knowledge, the rooms are filled and with all precious and pleasant riches. And the first thing I thought was, I don't remember where it is, but it's easier for a rich man to, it would be easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that it's interesting that this is this seems contradictory to that.
Which verse is that?
That's 3 and 4.
Has built through the established with rare and beautiful treasures. Yeah. And how does yours read? Read your two.
Through wisdom, a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge, the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches.
Yes. Yep.
I
Anybody
don't think that's the stuff.
What's that?
I don't think the riches of every kind is stuff.
Well, it says the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So that
Yeah, but I think it's a metaphor. I think it's like where there's knowledge, I mean, you have good dinner conversations.
well, I agree more with this than the thing about the eye of the camel or
Well,
the eye
that's
of the
because
needle.
that's stuff, not ideas.
Yeah, but
I love war is won by sound thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
where is that?
6.
6.
Oh,
In
and
my
verse 7, I have a footnote for wisdom is coral. It says too delicate for him to appreciate.
huh. My 6 says for waging war you need guidance, and for victory many advisors.
Mm-hmm. You want generals and you want what 4-star generals and that sort of thing with experience, don't you?
Yeah, tacticians. So then we were just talking about war.
That
Wage.
reminds,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, that reminds me of Solomon's son. The older advisors came and said, be good to all these people. And then the
Right.
younger advisors came and said, no, you got to be really tough.
Yeah.
So he didn't listen to the old wise
No,
The old
Yeah.
guys.
it didn't go over well, did it?
men.
Yeah.
So thinking about this, about our life with a component to it, which is actually, if you would speak to some of the our elders, historical elders, especially in the monastic communities, they would tell you that our life is one big spiritual battle. It's not that it's something we perceive or we don't perceive. It's just there. That's fact. Whether you're able to um, be whether you're aware of it or not, that's what's going on. So they attribute a lot of the problems that people have, the backsliding that people have, the attempts for holiness or a depth of understanding of God failing, not just on our personal, sin nature, which is a good portion of it, but rather on the spiritual battle that we're in constantly, that is diverting our attention and sapping our energies, and it's feigns and fakes. Think about a real battlefield, where if the battle is for your spiritual growth and maturity, what things in your life could keep that from happening, and what sort of distractions would stop you in your tracks? Well, you don't know, because whatever it is, it's working. Right? That's why they say you've got to be really careful. The monastics, both male and female, write about over and over again, saying you have to be aware of this. When you become aware of this, then you have to go to God, because it's pretty scary. And
I
only
had
by
a
going to
Muslim
God.
patient years ago, and he said he was angry and tearful. Said the holy war is not to bash somebody who's not a Muslim. The holy war is to get up and get your kids breakfast and get them on the bus, and to love your wife and pay your bills and go to work and come home and do it again. That's the holy war. That's the war you have to fight. And it's fighting yourself to be
Right.
tireless in your responsibilities to God and man. And I thought that was so beautiful. I could get behind that, the fight to do the right thing, yourself, just you, having nothing to do with really with anything external,
Right. Well,
your focus.
to that point, so since the gospel is social, the gospel is commercial, in that it is a life and a process of economy, of living economy. So that when you're trying to live, the good life, you're interacting with other people. And so the gospel is in those places can be spread simply by the life that you're living. This is Paul saying, pray always. If we're living a life of prayer and living a life of fidelity to God, really turning to God all the time, then our interaction with other people, the commercial aspect of our life, our or the spiritual economy of life, will be a blessing both to them and to us. We'll be defended on our own, but we'll be a blessing and defense for others. And it may be what Carolee's just, what that gentleman told her. Where just put this in perspective. That's a good place just to start. He was saying to her, people are doing this thing about bashing the world and all this other stuff. Well, just being able to do this daily on your own and keep your head up and keep your feet underneath you and keep forging forward, that's a success. That's a victory. Well, you add to it I'm doing this not just for me, but for God, and under the auspices of God and under God's direction and with God's power and God's grace, and then you've got even more. So the promise that we're given by Jesus is, in that case, that we're protected against the wiles of the enemy. We're protected by the Holy Spirit instead of just our efforts to keep, these distractions at bay. God will work to keep the distractions at bay. We don't have to work so hard. And if we're not working in hard trying to defend ourselves out there, then we are more able to grow in here. This is the reason why monastics would go and become hermits, right? Or go away from the world, even from the brothers or the sisters, because they were trying to move themselves away from their own sense of distraction and find a deeper spiritual focus. It's also why the church said that they can't do that anymore. The Latin church doesn't have hermits anymore. You can't go be a hermit. You can live alone for a time, but then you have to go back to the community. And the reason why they said that is because you are learning in your isolation wonderful spiritual lessons from the battle that you're in. And that has to be shared. So you can't just live that alone. You have to take that back to the community and share it with the brothers and share it with the sisters so they may benefit from this experience that you have and persevere on their own. Yeah, keeping an idea that what this is spiritual warfare is really important. I think we lose track at that, and we do it our own in our own danger. We do that. Let that go. Just keep the words in your mind, spiritual warfare, and see what happens in the next several weeks.
So the war
That's
is
your
our
answer.
life, and the
It isn't
wise
somebody that's
guidance is
beating you up. It's you,
It's
you
the
know.
Bible, and it's keeping staying around people that are following the same path that you are spiritually.
sure.
That would be your advisors and
Yeah,
ministers, and
right.
staying true to that, the Bible, and that
Yeah.
war is staying on that straight path that you plowed, like you said a few Sundays ago in your
Mm-hmm.
sermon.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And you think about, I mean, think about any of the great, stories in history or stories that we know about people who have, usually it's a young person, but it's not always a young person that ignores the warnings of the wiser person, elder, or there's the wiser person, and they're following what they think is their heart and what they think is right. And then they, of course, in the story, the novel, whatever it is, they wind up getting double crossed and backstabbed by this person or by this thing, and they just don't see it coming,
Mhm.
and it floors them, just floors them. Well, if that is spiritual warfare in content, then that kind of thing's going on all the time. We are putting our trust in our own understanding and vision of what we think is right and true and good. Our advisors are the things that we put our attention in. I'm putting it on the news, politics, on my cause, my thing, the thing that I'm passionate about, and that guides me, that directs me. It makes my mind. It's where I find my decisions to do or not to do. I find the way that I pattern what I agree with and what I don't agree with. But instead of going to the source, we're not going to the source. We're going to the effects of the source. And the effects of the source are going to be corrupted the farther away from the source they get. And there's always going to be overlayment, right? If you can take Christian values, morals, and ethics, and you can find the same values, morals, and ethics in Confucianism and Buddhism and Hinduism and Sikhism and Muslims, Mohammedanism. You can find these in all of them because general moral and ethical values are general moral and ethical values. So what's the difference between being one of these others and being a Christian? Because the in the Christian faith, we don't attribute those things to us. We don't say this is I figured this out. I know what's morally correct and rational because I figured it out. We turn it back and say I've learned that from God. God has taught me that, and I'm turning to God for more of it because what I've learned from God is this, and I need to learn more because I am prone to go back to where I was before, which is to put my faith in the news and the politics and my thing and what makes me flow and what makes me happy, what makes me believe, and where my opinions lie. So if I keep doing that, which I'm going to keep doing that because we're all broken and flawed, that's where we go. It's our comfort zone. This is why when you see the stories about people that were known, I like the cat. Did you ever read the Cadfael mysteries? Great book series. In fact, it's on BBC. If anybody likes BBC, it was a series on BBC for a long time. Some really great actors in it. Came and went, cameo stuff. And Brother Cadfael is I can't remember if he was a Templar. I think he was a Templar, but actually, I think he was a knight in Jerusalem. And he was in all these wars, and he believed him, and that's what he was. And he was really uh, good at it. And when it was over and he left it, he became a monk. And so the whole story is about the transition in his life because he's not the same. And once in a while, a knight will drop into the monastery in need and recognize him. Ah, Cadfael. I thought you were dead. He's in the monastery. Well, it comes to find out that this guy remembers him as he was, and he's not that way anymore. because he's not depending on news and his thing and the thing that makes him happy and the stuff that he does well, and he's dependent upon that and how he judges the world. He's let all of that go. He lived that life. He realized it was a dead end. He could live the life he was living forever and be happy doing it, but inside of him he knew that was not it. It was not enough. So he's turned to Christ. He's now come to God and said, okay, I recognize now that the good and true moral and ethical value that in life is not my decisions, my view, and my thing. It's yours. And the more he learns this, the more he changes. So even the things that made him focused in the beginning of his time in the monastery with God are no longer a focus for him, because those two were tools along the way to further enlightenment. And when the enlightenment comes, the tool is no longer necessary. So a lot of times we get stuck because we're trying to grow spiritually. We find a tool that works really well and makes us feel good, it makes us happy, and then we stick with it, not realizing that that is a tool that's a stepping stone. It's not the end all and be all. So enough on that. Just keep in mind that if this truly is spiritual warfare that we're in, then there's no way you're going to persevere beyond what level of spiritual awareness you are and maturity without going back to God and recognizing what you're doing, what this is. So right here in wisdom, this is important. Waging war, you need guidance, and victory of many advisors. Okay. All right, let's see. 10, we stopped at 10. How about 11 through, it goes to, it's pretty long, so let's break that up. 16, 11 through 16.
11 through 15? Okay, I'll do it.
16.
16. Okay, deliver those who are drawn toward death and hold back those stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, surely we did not know this, does not he who weighs the heart consider it? He who keeps your soul, does he not know it? And he will not render to each man according to his deeds. My son, eat honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to your taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. If you have found it, there is a prospect, and your hope will not be cut off. Do not lie in wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not plunder his resting place. For a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity.
All right.
Mhm.
All right, what do you think?
Doesn't make
I
any
liked
sense.
the 12th verse. If you say, I know not this man, does not he who tests hearts perceive it? So, and what came to mind was when Jesus was going through his suffering and Peter denied him 3 times.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Made me think of the morning. I put honey in my coffee.
Hmm.
And I really kind of covet it. I've moved on to maple syrup somewhat, but I just, it's really special. I liked it when he says he likens that devotion to honey, to that sweetness. Remember, this is at a time when they didn't have chocolate and licorice and all the other candies. So honey was honey was a thing, right? The best, the greatest, and it had medicinal purposes. That's been around for thousands of years. Everyone knows that honey has medicinal purposes, and back then they did too. So eat honey, my son. So be strong. Get a treat. Be healthy. Honey from the comb, all the better because you're chewing. Know that this is what wisdom does to your soul. So the likeness is one for one. It's God is making wisdom a sweet and desirable nectar. This is good for you, and you're going to love it and want more of it. So if you're finding wisdom, God's wisdom, and it's really turning you off and breaking you down, you've found the wrong thing. Do not lie in wait like an outlaw against the righteous man's house. So I like the discussion here, the going, like breaking the third wall. He's talking to his son, but now he's talking to the wicked man. He's going outside of that relationship, and telling the wicked man of what's going to happen, because the righteous are this and the wicked is that. Be aware of what's going to happen if you take that road. So he's giving out the end. If this is what you choose, and we've done this throughout Proverbs, where he goes back and he says, if this is what you choose, this is what you're going to get. So I think it's fair to scare the boy a little bit. I think we probably need that some.
A righteous man falls 7 times, he rises again. The number 7,
Mhm.
perfection, maybe.
Yep,
Well, I don't know,
absolutely.
so you can't keep a good man down.
Yeah, that's right. They should write a song about that. Yep. But the wicked are brought down by calamity. So that's their own doing. That's their own doing. Torturous. I think of all the different examples in our world, even right now today, of people who are so wrapped up in their own thing that even we call it casting shade, anything that's even pointed that way drives them into a fit. You can't, especially somebody in the news a lot today, if you say anything bad about this person, it just freaks out. We're not talking about losing all your money and losing your house and losing all your stuff and your toys. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the value of having a peaceful heart and mind and a peaceful spirit. And you can have all that kind of money and all that kind of stuff, and you can live as a disquieted, self-loathing, hateful person that lashes out against the world because there's no good left. And that's a calamity. That's living in a horror and have nothing left in death. Think about that's horrible. Good grief. And so it's terrible that people can't hear this lesson. All right, who'd like to read now? Was it 16 to redo? Is 17 through 22.
I'll do that. Don't rejoice when your enemies fall. Don't be happy when they stumble. For the Lord will be displeased with you and will turn his anger away from them. Don't fret because of evildoers. Don't envy the wicked, for evil people have no future. The light of the wicked will be snuffed out. My child, fear the Lord and the king. Don't associate with rebels, for disaster will hit them suddenly. Who knows what punishment will come from the Lord and the king? Is that? You want me to
Yeah.
stop there?
Yeah,
Okay.
23.
That was 22, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Okay.
pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Don't be a
Yeah.
really, really bad person.
Yeah. There were 2 points in here that really got me, and I really appreciated them. One was where we started off. Do not gloat when your enemy falls, when he stumbles. Do not let your heart, this is 6:17. Do not let your heart rejoice, or the Lord will see and disapprove and turn his wrath away from him. Do not fret. All these things is Jesus later on saying, love your enemy.
Mhm.
When you have an enemy and something bad happens to him, you're like, yes, he got his, her. And he's saying, no, don't do that. God doesn't like that. God doesn't want that. Don't do that. And then later on, Jesus is saying, well, you got to love these people. You have to pray for them.
Mhm.
Um, the future. Think about this. I just said it a minute ago. For the evil man has a mindset. 20 says, for the evil man has no future hope, and the lamp of the wicked will be snuffed out. So I'm sure you have had this at moments in your life. I've had it at moments in my life. Hopefully they're not around anymore. But if you ever came to a moment in your life that you remember where you didn't have any hope, that's a horrible thing. That is a horrible, horrible thing. And he's saying that these people don't have any hope. How can they hope for anything? Their life is focused on themselves. It's a dead end.
It is telling you that God's going to take care of everything.
Yes.
You don't have
Yes.
to. Yeah.
Yep. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Mm.
You know, what does that do? It sets us free.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to punish this person because Dad's going to do it. I don't have to be the one. I can take solace in God's judgment, God's righteousness, God's knowledge. I mean, I'm not God. And my being angry and upset and hurt and broken is just a proof of that. So I give this back over to God. Again, I'm going to impress upon you that the deeper you grow in your spiritual life, the easier all these things become. If you think about it now and you think that sounds horrible, that sounds incredible, impossible. It can't be done. I mean, I can't even conceive that happening. You're right, because that's where we all start. That's where we travel from. That's this place where I can't think of that because I can't do that. But as you grow in your spiritual life, God will do it for you. The spiritual growth is a lot about relinquishment, learning how to recognize ourselves and our own dead ends, and then letting them go and let God fill in the space.
We're supposed to pray for our enemies too.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it makes it a lot easier to not be happy for their bad luck.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They would say not only inconsistent, but an impossible process. You can't truly pray for them, and at the same time hate them and want them to be, vivisected. You can't do it.
Yeah.
If God is present in prayers and your prayers are faithful, then God's present in your prayers. And God's not saying that. It's really liberating. It's a free place. I've talked with couples that are having terrible times in their marriages. And I've had a few of them that have actually followed my instructions and prayed. And I've had them come back and say, I tried that and I don't do it anymore. And I've said, why? And they don't, and a couple of times have not really known that they're saying it until they say it and I pull them up on it. But what they wind up saying is, I realized that when I started praying for my wife, I didn't want to argue anymore. That was the anger dissipated. But the other side of me wants to argue because I want to win. So I don't want to pray for her anymore. Because if I pray for her, then I won't argue. And if I want to argue, I won't win. So prayer works. Prayer works.
It helps if you do it real fast too.
Speed prayer. All right, we're right at the cusp of the end here. Let's see. Why don't you want to do a marathon to the end? Let's see. That's 23 through
Split them in
30.
half.
Yeah, go 23 through 29. Who wants to do that?
I will do it.
Okay.
These also are sayings of the wise. To show partiality in judgment is not good. He who says to the wicked man, "You are just," men will curse him, people will denounce him. But those who convict the evildoer will fare well, and on them will continue the blessing of prosperity. He gives a kiss on the lips who makes an honest reply. Complete your outdoor tasks and arrange your work in the field. Afterward, you can establish your house. Oh, sorry, I forgot what number we're stopping. What number?
29.
Be not a witness against your neighbor without just cause, thus committing folly with your lips. Say not as he did to me, so will I do to him. I will repay the man according to his deeds.
An eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that and to do unto others, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else? What do you think of the first one? Do not show partiality. Everything that follows that in verse 24, and in fact in 25, is related to that one phrase. Do not show partiality. You see how it works? If you show partiality and the person who is the let me see. Oh, but see, mine just says guilty, right? So if you show partiality to the guilty and you say they're innocent, then that's you've gone against the truth because you're partial to it. So think where would this happen in your life? Most people would say in the effects of my children. If my son or my daughter does something bad, it's going to get them in trouble, and it's really bad. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to have the excuses and the reasons and the outliers as to why, if they didn't do that or it wasn't bad or there was a reason or an extenuating circumstance or whatever it is. And that doesn't necessarily mean we're not telling our child to stand up and to say what happened. We're telling them to keep quiet and let the obfuscation, the partiality cover over this problem. Because we're afraid, and that's the reason, that's true. But it's wrong. It doesn't matter how you cut it. It's the wrong thing to do. And we wouldn't do it for our little children. We'll do it for our adult children. We won't do it for our little children. Think about your little kid when he was in school or she was in school and they did something wrong and you got a call from the teacher or the principal, and you went there and they told you what the kid did, and what'd you do? You made them write a letter or stand up and say you're sorry, or you got to the bottom of it, and it was a big deal because you're trying to teach them that owning up to the thing that they did was the right thing to do. So this is taking it, saying, okay, later on, for whatever reason, if you show partiality and you try to get the person off the hook, that's just wrong. For whatever reason, if you do it, but don't think for a moment it's the right thing to do. That's just lying to yourself. It will not go well with those who convict the guilty, and the rich blessing will come upon them. Okay. An honest answer is like a kiss on the lips. There you go. I wish that was more liberally received. An honest answer is like a kiss on the lips. If that could just be grasped by everybody. Do not testify against your neighbor without a cause. Do not say, I'll do to him as he does to me. So we already got that, do unto others. Why would you testify against your neighbor without a cause to start with?
Jealousy?
Yes, absolutely. Jealousy is a wild thing. Next time you think, a lot of times you think about jealousy, you think about it as a barefaced thing. Like you can identify it really easily. I'm jealous of that person. I don't use the word very much. I just see what they have and I kind of like it a lot. Right? And I don't say the big J word. I just think about how much I like it a lot. But that can be really, the self-deception that we have can be really damaging to us, to the self. To see.
The way you're using jealousy, is it the same as covetousness?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the commandments, isn't it? Thou shalt not covet.
You're also bearing false witness.
Yes. Yes. They're right there, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I want what you have, and then I think about all this in one big swoop. I'm jealous of this guy's car. I want it. And then he gets in a wreck and I'm happy. I don't laugh and throw a party, but when it happens, I'm like, oh, that's too bad. Oh man, how's the car? It's gone. Okay, well, that's terrible. Because if it's like, if I can't have it, nobody can. I take this weird pleasure in his unfortunate circumstance. And then I may even go to my other neighbor and say, well, he's probably drinking or something.
Probably deserve
There it is. It was the trifecta. I just did all three of those things right there, right here. Right? Okay, 30 to 34. Oh, wait, one more thing. Finish your outdoor work. I love this one. 27. Finish your outdoor work and get your fields ready. And after that, build your house. So
you always build the barn first.
Yes, absolutely. Live in a tent, live in a hole in the ground, make a little sod bed, and you get your food done, you get your animals cared for, you get all that done, and then you can take your liberty to make yourself comfortable. That's it. So that's responsibilities. That's exactly what it's saying. You have responsibilities in life. You have to take those responsibilities first. Okay, 30 through 34. Who's up?
I'll
Jay,
go.
did you read? Yeah, you
Yep.
go.
I went past the field of the sluggard, past the vineyard of the man who lacks judgment. Thorns had come up everywhere. The ground was covered with weeds, and the stone wall was in ruins. I applied my heart to what I observed and learned a lesson from what I saw. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed man.
Yeah. That's about as in your face as you can get. Um, Learning from the example of some poor person that has not learned this lesson. That's one. And then receiving what the person has done and with a detail, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. It's self-ruin, right? It's without the priority of doing what's talking about in 30 or in where is it?
27.
27, thank you. Without that, then this is your recompense. This is what's going to happen. So you have the poverty will come on like a bandit, scarcity is an armed man. So when you get, I think I maybe mentioned this before, there was a TV show for a little while, it was only a little while, where they took these people. In fact, I heard that it's being rebooted. They took these families that volunteered to do this, and they just put them on a farm, a little farm, boop, and they gave them everything they needed to live for a year, and they were going to get some big cash reward, I think, after a year. And I think it was 3 families that did it, and nobody made it past the first season. In fact, I don't even think they finished the season. Everybody walked off.
Did they actually tell them how to farm
Yes,
before they put them there?
yes, they showed them how. They had resources on how to do things. And they had them out there with a donkey, with a mule, and their hoe, getting their planting done. And I remember in fact, one family just walked off and walked away downtown and and they found them in McDonald's. They just left and went to McDonald's. They were done. And the reason why they had to stop it for the other families because they had not planted enough food to live through the winter. They literally could not live. They would have died. So they said, we can't go on with the season because we know in 3 months you're going to die. You can't live. You don't have enough food. You've been sitting around, you've been taking it easy, you've been resting more than you're planting, and you're not building, and you're just not going to make it. So this thing here, scarcity is like armed men. Scarcity comes back with a vengeance. You don't know how much you don't have after a very little lack of preparation. It balloons up. Everybody's been in school here, so think back on school. Think about the test that you thought you could get away with not studying for, or the presentation or the paper. And instead of just getting a bad grade, it had all sorts of unsavory outcomes. It wasn't just one thing. It just bloomed and blossomed into all kinds of other stuff that you had to make up for later on. So good, wise words to the boy. When we're young, youth, a lot of things for the youth are one-dimensional. That's the problem. What's a bigger problem? It's older people who are still thinking and living one-dimensionally. That's just missed something along the way. These are words I think that would flow to try to keep that from happening for everyone of every age. Just remember where you came from, I guess is the best way to say it. All right, I like 24. Did you like 24? I thought that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're at 25 now. 25 is going to go through. It's a little bit of a change. There's a little shift in 25 and 26 and 30, or all the way to 31, in that it is a smorgasbord of a potpourri, a panoply. It's a cornucopia of it is a not only sayings from Solomon, but sayings from others, and they all come together in this ending and moosh back and forth. So
And
that's
Hezekiah is the editor.
yes, brilliant. Who knew it? Who could have thunk it? Little old Hezekiah makes good. All right, well, we'll gear up for 25 and following as we go into this week. All good?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Thank you all. Wonderful
you.
night. I pray that it's a great rest of the evening for you. Sleep with your windows open. What beautiful weather we're having. Holy smoke. I already took my nasal spray. I'm throwing that door open. I tell you what. I'm gonna be cool and I'm gonna breathe at the same time. So that's pretty good. All right, guys. God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. Best night of the week. I pray it's good for the rest of you.
Bye.
Thank
Night.
you.
Good night.
Night.